Good morning. Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. It is Monday, October the 19th at 9 o'clock. The first thing we do is ask you to turn your cell phones at least to silence. We have one here on the bench. We have our county attorneys attending by remotely this morning. I hope you feel better, Heather.
Thank you, Judge.
This is the opportunity for public input. And for public input, we ask anyone that would like to address the court and make us aware of something or provide your input to us. It's a listen only. We get to listen. We don't get to talk, but you get to talk. This is your opportunity to come and address the court. Is there anyone who would like to offer any public input to the court? Okay, there being none, then we'll move on to Commissioner's comments. Commissioner 1, Precinct 1.
It's been a brisk early voting. We're doing very well as far as statewide. We're holding our own, so expect more of that out there today.
Good news.
Precinct 2 still needs to have people that want to attach to the sewer system in Center Point area to contact those people that have been identified. I think everybody knows who that is, but it's required to do it to get the at no cost connection to the sewer system. Otherwise, it'll cost you $5,000 or $6,000.
I signed that letter just this morning.
Good deal. All right.
3.
The only thing I have out of Kerr Pets Alive asked me to announce that they're having an open house this Thursday, October 22nd, 6 to 8 at the Hickory Youth Event Center. It marks their 1-year anniversary of kind of collaborating and helping the county, and which has been a good relationship so far, and I think it will continue. So people that want to attend are welcome Thursday evening. That's it.
And I think we provided on the sign-up list from the meeting we had last year.
Yeah.
So, all very good. We enjoyed the cooperation.
That's this Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Thursday
At what time?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 at the Youth Event Center. In fact, Ms. Guerrero just walked in.
Mm-hmm.
We just made your announcement for your open house.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Okay, Precinct 4.
I don't have a whole lot to say other than we could use a little bit of rain. Looks like we have a small chance this week. But I will comment about the voting at the Ingram ISD central office has been brisk as well and kind of fault-free. I mean, no problems. I voted out there and on Friday, I believe, and it took me about all of 10 minutes. And but they're having a large turnout, and that's good to see. That's good to see. Everybody's energized. So.
Well, and on a county basis, I happened to vote at the Youth Event Center last week, and I've received several calls from people. It seems like we're kind of stepping on each other's toes out there, some of the candidates, and so we want to encourage everyone to be polite and follow the rules, and remember that anything inside the 100-foot line is the jurisdiction of the elections office, and that would be Bob Reeves and Nadine Alford. And anything outside that 100-foot line is the responsibility of the county. And we've delegated that to our liaison commissioner for the youth events, commissioners, I would say, make sure, for the Youth Event Center and the Extension Office, which are Commissioner Harris and Commissioner Letts, and I think Commissioner Harris has fielded most of the calls so far.
Without a doubt.
But we're trying to keep that as amicable as possible out there.
And just common courtesy goes a long ways out there, and there's been very few things to really cite. I mean, we ask the people not put signs on the fence and stuff, and they're adhering to that, and just be courteous to one another, I think, goes a long ways.
You know, the other day, somebody's pop-up tent blew. Hit a couple cars, but as we were all running to grab it, nobody said, don't let that Republican get that thing. Or don't let that county guy or that city person. We just all
Work together.
Work together.
Work together, gathering tents.
That's right.
Was Larry involved with that?
No, he was too far away.
Okay, I think we have a fairly short docket. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. The first item on our consideration agenda is 1.1, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a pro-life resolution. Jerry Wolf.
Morning.
Okay.
Good
Jerry
morning.
Wolf. I live at 509 North Buckboard. And we're hoping for a short meeting. Well, my presentation is going to take a little while, but I understand you'll be paid you get a flat rate. You don't go by the hour, so we can get through this. Thank you. I come to Commissioners Court this morning on behalf of my club, the Kerr County Patriots, to discuss a very important matter, a matter of life. We request the court to make a statement that Kerr County affirms the right to life for all, including the unborn. Last Tuesday, this resolution was sent to the county attorney for her review and to comment if there was no problem. I have not heard any comments from Ms. Stevens, so I presume it's met with her approval. The resolution is available for all to see on our club's website, kcpatriots.org. First, let me give you a little history on the pro-life resolution and ordinances in Texas. Our county will not be the first to pass such a resolution, but we can be the second. Ellis County, Waxahachie is the county seat, passed the first pro-life resolution by a Texas county in late January. It joins 16 cities who have passed a pro-life ordinance with a clause that makes it a very serious deterrent to abortion performers. These cities have declared themselves sanctuary cities for the unborn. Morton, Texas, near Lubbock, was the 16th city, and it passed the ordinance last week. Also, about a week ago, the Lubbock City Council, after a 3-month discussion, debated and voted in a closed session to kill a pro-life ordinance. This was after Planned Parenthood had announced in July it was going to open an abortion clinic before the end of the year in the city. Citizens were angry and collected over 5,000 signatures to force the city council, by a rule of its charter, to either approve the ordinance or put it up for vote by the citizens within 30 days. Now, we were all watching about what's going to be happening up there. They got 3 weeks to go to get the end of their 30th day. Also, 7 of the cities which approved the ordinance prior to 2020 and had used the identically worded document were sued by the ACLU in January of this year. The ACLU dropped the suit against all 7 in June without stating why. The presumption is that the wording of the ordinance was well crafted and did not violate federal law. Part of what spurred this demand by citizens to protect life is that in 2019 the state legislature passed Senate Bill 22, which prohibits local governments funding abortion providers or their affiliates. So what did the City Council of Austin do? It funded $150,000 for, quote, healthcare services for fiscal year 2021 to fund 2 abortion advocates nonprofits. One of those advocates, by the way, seeks to find ways for 17-year-olds and younger to have an abortion without the consent of the parent. Its action has raised the alarm statewide that abortions will be on the increase. Hence, the rightful pushback and concern from us pro-life advocates. It's easier to put out a fire when it starts than wait for it to become a roaring blaze. To bring you up to date on what's happening here locally, my club tried to have this same resolution that is before you now to be put on the October 13th meeting agenda of the Kerrville City Council. The city manager, answering for the city council, declined my request on the basis that the subject of protecting life was partisan, and that city council can only consider nonpartisan issues. By the way, almost all, if not all, city councils in Texas classify themselves as nonpartisan, including the 14th that declared themselves pro-life, and Austin that is pro-abortion. I disagreed with the city manager and went in front of city council through the visitors forum part of their meeting on the 13th. I presented my view that we are past the point of considering this issue as being partisan due to action of the aforementioned 14 cities and Austin. For a solution, I offered what I think are two good alternatives. Either a city council member put the resolution on the next meeting's agenda, or call on the experience of the city manager and city attorney to work with my club, the Patriots, to come up with a wording that would be acceptable to city council without distorting the intent of the original resolution. No city council spoke up that night to put the item on the next meeting's agenda, nor have I heard from any city council member, city manager, or the city attorney. The situation with the city looks to get worse before it gets better with their attitude of non-cooperation, but we Patriots are continuing to pray to change their hearts and minds. Kerrville is not being singled out. Our plan is to present this resolution to the city of Ingram in the very near future. The Patriots believe Commissioners Court is committed to the protection of life, and it's time for Kerr County to step forward and let the rest of Texas and our country know that Kerr County, the leader of the Texas Hill Country, stands in protecting the right to life of all, including the unborn. The Kerr County Patriots Club humbly requests on behalf of the overwhelming majority of Kerr County citizens for the approval of this resolution. Would you like for me to read the resolution or a part of it?
I think it would be beneficial.
Sir?
I think it would be beneficial.
All right, let me do that then. This is a resolution presented to the County Commissioners Court of Kerr County, Texas on October the 19th, 2020. Whereas life is the first dedicated right in the Declaration of Independence, which our founders affirmed, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the Commissioners Court of Kerr County, Texas believes the protection of all human life is important to the people of Kerr County. And whereas the Commissioners Court of Kerr County believes each and every human life is unique and precious to God and humankind. And whereas the Commissioners Court of Kerr County believes human life begins at the moment of conception and continues uninterrupted until the moment of natural death. And whereas the Commissioners Court of Kerr County believes human life must be protected and preserved. Now therefore, be it resolved and declared by the Commissioners Court of Kerr County that human life, including the unborn, must always be valued and protected, and that society must protect those who cannot protect themselves. Be it further resolved that the Commissioners Court of Kerr County encourages assistance for women by helping them find health care, helping mothers and fathers who make the decision to parent their child, support mothers and fathers who have an adoption plan for their baby, and couples who seek to adopt, and encourage businesses and schools to provide appropriate accommodations for pregnant women. Be it further resolved that the Commissioners Court of Kerr County encourages our state and federal government to protect every human life, including the lives of the unborn. Commissioners Court of Kerr County, Texas.
You have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Then thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think the last sentence of the resolution pretty much sums it up. Heather, have you read it and you have a take on it as far as from the county standpoint?
Yes, Commissioner, I've read it, and this is really up to y'all. From a legal standpoint, I don't have any comments or changes to the resolution. This is going to be up to you guys.
This is just an affirmation of life.
Mm-hmm.
All that's being asked, so.
What, and again, I think the last sentence and kind of sums it up for me. And from the county standpoint, I don't see the county being liable for anything, but just kind of holds people's feet to the fire. And I'm going to read it. Be it further resolved that Commissioners Court of Kerr County encourages our state and federal government to protect every life, including the lives of the unborn. So, in my perspective, it starts at the bottom level, and I think the majority of our citizens, being a conservative county, believe that and would want our state representatives and national representatives to see where we stand. So that's my take on it.
We got two things. Number one, I don't necessarily disagree with your position, Jerry, but being a commissioner, I represent the voters of the county, and I think this is a national issue, and I don't think the county, I wouldn't feel comfortable, nor will I want to represent the citizens of this county by supporting this. And I would take issue with Commissioner Harris on something. The thing right above that, Commissioner Harris, it says, Kerr County encourages assistance for women by helping them find health care. That's bigger than what you just said. That's a big thing. Helping mothers and fathers to make decisions to parent their child. That's a big thing. That could be a big, broad scope effort. Okay, so I appreciate what you're saying personally. Okay, but I can't support this from representing all citizens of the county, because I got a lot of emails, and I'm sure everybody else did, on this subject. So there's a lot of people that think it's not the proper place for the county to take a position on this. So, but I appreciate all you've done, Jerry.
All right, my question is, how do we help veterans? What exactly do we do to help veterans?
We help them through the process of, number one, identifying what benefits are due to them, which a lot of them don't know.
Right.
And number two, we help them through the process of applying and receiving the benefits.
Right.
So those are two things that we do.
So by help, and this is what I'm getting at, by helping somebody, you may just be guiding them to a place that can help them. It doesn't necessarily mean we've done anything.
Yeah, well, we
We've
do a
said,
little
well, you
bit.
can get help over there.
We do a little bit more than that for veterans.
That's under this
'Cause
roof.
that's what we,
But I'm trying to define what help means. So
Okay. Yeah.
we may not have to go to that great an extent to help somebody.
Right.
If somebody asks me for directions and I tell them, you can get gas on the corner over there, I've helped them. I haven't gone out of my way or done anything or instituted new policy to do so.
Okay.
I think there's just on that one point, there's a little bit of difference. With veterans, we're essentially an arm of the state. The state has a state veterans board. There's a state veteran, and we work with that. We're certified through that. So there's, we're generally an arm of the state government, and that specifically allows us to do what we're doing with veterans. So
I'm just trying to make
right.
show what it amounts
Right.
to. Just like we help the 4-H kids.
Yeah.
What do we really do? Well, there's an ag barn, and we encourage them.
But we provide funding. That's a different. That help us provide a lot of funding.
Right.
Correct. Anyway, but wordsmithing, could have some on this document. The problem I have is that this is, to me, is not a local government issue. I personally agree with it 100%. But I just don't think that it is something that local government really has, other than I can voice my personal view, which I've done, but I don't think that it's the appropriate venue for us to pass a resolution. That's just my personal view on this.
Well, we said that about the Second Amendment also in that resolution, and then came up with something different, and it was brought back, and then we passed it. So, the affirmation of life, I'll quote Dr. Seuss, a person is a person no matter how small. So, that's always been my position about life. Every human life is precious. But whether or not we need to pass some kind of resolution is another thing. I got nothing against it.
I don't either. Would striking that or rewording that section of the last paragraph make a difference with you?
No, I agree with Commissioner Les. I think this is not a local issue to take a position on. And I wouldn't want to wordsmith the resolution to reflect it, so I just, fundamentally, I don't think it's a local issue.
It is a local issue. Everything that falls into the Constitution is a local issue. To say that there are issues here that are not local, all politics is local, every issue under the Constitution is a local issue. It's like when people say that you can't legislate morality. Well, every piece of legislation reflects somebody's morality. It's a misnomer. So, yes, this is a local issue. It does apply to every human being, so it's a local issue. Every household, every person, every one of us that's here in this room could have been aborted.
I agree it's an important issue locally, but I just don't think that it's something that this court should, really take a stand on.
That's what
Like I say, I personally support it. I'd be glad to do, personally things to support it. I just don't think it's the correct thing for as a commissioner for me to vote for.
That's exactly where I stand.
In the long haul, it won't make any difference what we think about it.
Oh, I understand that, but I think government, especially at the local level, this is the most, where we have contact with our government officials. My thinking is, and I think many other federal citizens think the same way, you're supposed to reflect our views. And I seriously believe that the vast majority of the Kerrville citizens, voters, are in favor of protecting the life of the unborn. They would be in favor of this resolution. Am I able to ask a question of
Sure.
the court? Commissioner Mosier, do you believe the majority of your constituents in Precinct 2 are in favor of protecting life? Or?
I don't know, Jerry. I probably received 15 emails encouraging not supporting the resolution. I didn't receive a single one encouraging supporting it. So I'm not saying that that's representative of people in the county or in Precinct 2, but that's the fact I'll share with you.
I understand.
Okay.
I also found from personal experience, we get angry when something doesn't go our way and we say something. When things are going our way, we tend to be quiet.
Right.
So.
Right.
I agree with your statement, Jerry, that I think that from my precinct, the majority would support or are pro-life. But there are certainly a segment, and it's not just a few, that may not be. I disagree with them on that issue, but I also do represent them. But I just really think it's not an issue that we should take up locally. I think that this is a personal decision. Hopefully, the current law will be changed. I would support that. But it's not an issue that we need to do here. And there's another issue in the Second Amendment, I think Mr. Blue brought up. I did vote for that one. To me, I don't know that it's different. I could argue that I shouldn't have voted on that one for the same reason. And the concern I have is moving forward, and this, not to put less emphasis on this because this is a very important issue. Other resolutions about, we get into weather and homelessness and on and on and on. It's not a, we don't have an impact on that. We don't fund one side or the other on this from the standpoint of pro-life or pro-choice, which we are prohibited from and shouldn't, in my mind. I just think that's something that we shouldn't make a decision on. We don't have any reason to make a decision on. It's a personal view that I have, and I agree with it, but I'm not comfortable voting in favor of it.
To me, with local government, commissioners court, and city councils, we can see in Austin does have some impact, and the 14 cities that passed the ordinance, that has, of course, this ordinance has a bite to it. There are laws that says you can do this, and if you don't, you're going to get this punishment for not doing it. But you're adding the voice of authority to tell the rest of the counties in Texas and now perhaps throughout the United States that we're standing up here saying we believe in the right to life. That voice has weight. It has meaning. It's just not air being thrown up, voices that are disappearing. It has impact on people. There's 2 counties in Florida. In fact, one of them has this pro-life resolution on their November 3rd ballot. Mainly because the Commissioners Court wouldn't vote. So they put it to the voters.
Well, I agree with everything in it. Now, we can argue about some of the wording or what have you. Heather didn't take issue with anything, our county attorney. And I think it starts one raindrop at a time. And for that reason, I'm going to move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion's been made by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Blue to approve the resolution as presented. I think we've had the discussion already, which we should have waited till the motion, but we finally got a motion. Is there any other discussion?
Well, I will add to what Commissioner Harris said. Bottom line is everybody understands what it is. Wording could have been a little different, could have been a little more positive. Just that a simple statement of we affirm the right to life is plenty for me, because we're going through a pandemic. Everybody's concerned about life. We're trying to protect life. Do we really care about it or not? And I do. So.
That would sway me some if it was that simple, but
And we're not setting law here by any means. We're just saying that as a court, as a county, we support life. Okay? And we would encourage our state representatives and national representatives to do as well. And that's where I'm coming from.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand.
same.
Abstain. Fails for lack of a majority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I think
Chair.
Jerry, I think we're the same place we were 47 years ago when I was a young law student and Roe versus Wade came out. A court did this to us. There has not been a vote. There's not been a congressional vote or a legislative vote. And until the people get the votes, we're going to live with what the law is.
Well, where do we push back?
The people you elect to Congress, Chip Roy, Wendy Davis, they're the ones that make those decisions. We know where she is on the issue, and we know where Chip is on the issue.
Yeah.
And so you know where I'm voting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, I'm looking for Nadine. It's 1.2, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve the Central Counting Station personnel for November 3, 2020 election pursuant to the Texas Elections Code. And the presiding manager would be, the judge would be Nadine Alford, the alternate judge would be Jane Trollinger, tabulating supervisor Jamie McClintock, assistant tabulating supervisor Missy Anders, a clerk Mimi Valverde, Cindy Hernandez, and Teresa Walker. And calls to the SOS and Secretary of State and the website, Bruce Motherall. She's asking for these to be approved.
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Blue, seconded by Commissioner Letts. I'm sorry.
Turn your name tag around.
Is it to approve the Central Counting Station personnel for the November 3 election. There's Mr. Reeves.
My apologies. I didn't know I could jog that fast. This is just to approve the updated list for Central Counting on the November 3rd date, Judge, and I recommend approval.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1.3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the Happy State Bank Expo Hall sign design for the installation at the Hill Country Youth Event Center. Jake Williamson.
Good morning, Your Honor, Commissioners. Thanks for taking the time today. I did also bring with me Brian Bowers, a representative from the bank. So this is the culmination of the process we've gone through this summer of the rebranding, renaming of our Expo Hall with the naming rights for Happy State Bank, who is also going through rebranding as they have acquired the Centennial Bank brand. So for local folks, the Centennial Bank brand will become Happy State Bank November 1st. So backstory with that, moving forward to the sign, with them coming to town, they've worked with us on what we wanted the sign scope to be, what everything would be to help them get the best value out of their naming rights, as well as present their name to town. So it's representative of their logo that they will be bringing. You'll be seeing it all over town. And all we've done is add the Expo Hall for a directional sign for the local folks to be using that building and facility that also correlates with their logo colors. So Brian can talk more about details of that logo and what it entails, if it has a history or what that means, more so than I can. But if you have any questions or comments, I can answer them.
My only objection is the big bold red. Okay, nothing on that whole Ag Barn Hill Country Youth Exhibit Center stands out in bold red colors or anything else like that. My question would be, can it be made a little bit less colorful?
I think that's their colors, though.
I understand that. It just stands out like a
Less
you could also
readable.
put a flashing neon.
As a marketing person, it should stand out.
Yeah,
That's the point.
Make it a flashing neon sign too, you know? But anyway, that's my only objection to it. I like what Happy Bank is doing. I think it's good. I think being part of the community is good. That was my only sign. It just had big red letters jump out like.
Hey, can you go over what the agreement is with Happy Bank?
Sure. So Happy State Bank Agreement is a 10-year naming rights deal with the county to name the Expo Hall itself. So anybody that will be now visiting the Expo Hall, which is the front air-conditioned building, 20,000 air-conditioned square feet, where the elections is going on, will now be going to the Happy State Bank Expo Hall.
And the amount of money they paid for this?
This will be over $100,000, $112,500 for the life of the contract. They'll be going, and it's a direct to the taxpayer recoup of expenses cost on building the facility.
And just on the colors, I happen to frequently stay at a hotel in Abilene when I'm dove hunting, which is right next to one of the numerous Happy State Bank buildings. And this is exactly what they're signing.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm very familiar with their logo.
Yeah.
And it does jump out at you, but from a marketing standpoint, it works because I remember it in Abilene and have for years.
Well, if the logo changes, is that in the contract that would they come out and change it? If they, at some point in that process, change the logo, do they, not that they're gonna do it right away, but these things happen, so.
Sure, it is in the contract if, say there's another merger or something does change, Happy State Bank actually will own that sign. And so it's their prerogative to update it if they need to or would like to.
And my final comment before I make a motion to approve is that this is only for the Expo Hall. We're not changing the name of the facility. It's still the Hill Country Youth Event Center, which is the dominant name, even though the sign may not be as dominant at the moment. And there are plans to upgrade that as well on the signboards on Highway 27. There's some, I'm busy with Jake on some options there. But that being said, I'll make a motion to approve the design for the sign for Happy State Bank to be placed at the Hill Country Youth Event Center at the Expo Hall.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the design of the Happy State Bank Expo Hall sign design and installation. Any other discussion?
One other comment, just this has been put out for bid I believe 3 times, or 2, I know twice, maybe 3 times, so there's been a lot of
The
opportunity.
naming rights.
The naming rights
Right.
have been. So, there's been a lot of opportunity for any local business or other non-local business to do this, and the one that came forward was Happy State Bank, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Look forward to working with you, Brian.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Brian.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Can I
Brian.
just approach the court real quick?
Sure.
On behalf of the bank and on behalf of myself personally, I just want to say thank you all for your support of this, and we really are excited about this partnership and the future here in Kerr County. So I've been here now coming up on almost 6 years, and I'm excited about delivering the Happy brand to the community. So thank you all.
We're
Thank
happy
you.
you're happy.
Everybody's happy.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 1.4. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a resolution for Help America Vote Again, HAVA, grant funding. Callie Graff.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the second part of the HAVA grant. There's a total of $120,000 with a $16,000 match. This is used for more election purposes. This is not only limited to COVID-related expenses. We have until the end of next year to spend this money. The resolution would have to be signed by Commissioner's Court, and the grant agreement would have to be signed by the judge.
So we've already received part of this grant? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we received HAVA CARES money, and then this is just the election, the next part of it.
And what is the source on this one? Is this state? This is,
Yes, this is from HAVA Health.
From what?
It's state, yes.
It's a state grant? Is that what it
Federal.
is?
It's federal pass-through.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Was this thing, this HAVA, was that set up previous, or has this been named this since the COVID?
It was set up previously.
2002.
I don't
Yes.
remember that. When have we done that before?
We've done it several times. Most of the voting machines, like all the voting machines we bought the first time in
Went through
2002, came through the HAVA grant.
And the upgrades we did recently?
I'm not sure if the upgrades were covered, but I don't think they were, but I know the initial purchase of the voting machines was covered, majority of it anyway. I think all of it, at least the majority, by a HAVA grant. And that's what the name was back then, as I recall.
Somebody make the motion?
I think I made a motion.
I'll second.
Cal?
Did I make a motion?
No.
No, there's been no motion made.
We got a
I'll
second,
make it.
though.
I'll second.
A motion's been made by Commissioner Blue, seconded by Commissioner Letts, to accept the, approve and accept the HAVA grant funding. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. 1.5. Thank you, Callie.
Thank you.
Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve contract with Eagle View Pictometry. Did I say that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
This is a ongoing contract we have with Pictometry that provides our aerial photography and database for all of our engineering and tax and animal control, and this allows them to have that capability.
Road and Bridge use it?
Yes, they do.
Does, so this gets funding, $205,000 in funding, $29,000 from the county, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And
And that's
so-
over 3 years.
Okay, but the other entities, what is it? City?
Central
UGI?
Appraisal District
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
Kerr 911 are part of this.
KCAD and 911.
Yes, sir.
So,
The city has gone a different direction.
so if we were to not use this, we do not have access to the pictometry
That is correct, sir.
product, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The same true for the other two entities?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
It's very helpful,
Huh?
Yeah.
very helpful to all.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Letts, to approve the contract with Eagle View Pictometry. Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 1.6 on the agenda is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to cancel the declaration of a local state of disaster. Commissioner Letts.
I think I mentioned at the last meeting I was going to put this on the agenda as a discussion item and/or action item. I did ask that if there was any reasons that would prevent us from doing this from a financial standpoint. And Heather, have you received any word back on that? Were you able to contact?
From my perspective, I don't think that the legal advice changes there. You know, the people who we were dealing with, Tanya, with for the grant funding, said that the local declaration being terminated wouldn't impact the county's ability to receive that funding.
Okay. My basic reason is I don't think we're in an emergency anymore. That is my personal feeling. I think we do have, obviously, we're, if you want to call it a pandemic, which I have a hard time even calling it a pandemic at this point. To me, we have a virus that's moving through the nation and the community. It's very serious for some people, and it's not serious at all to other people. I think that we have done a good job educating the public locally. The state has educated through the state. Nationally, it's been done. I think everyone is aware of the virus and the recommended precautions. And to me, we're no longer in a state of emergency. This is my opinion. I'll make a motion that we cancel the state of emergency.
I'll second that.
The motion's-
Discussion, but
Just a second. We had a motion made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Blue. Now, is there any discussion?
but I think according to Dub, things are continuing to increase. So, and I understand, and I fully support this at the beginning because it had to do with the amount of, it had to do with budget and tax restrictions and so forth that weren't emergency. That's passed. The other grant stuff is passed. Financially, I don't think it's a problem, but I don't think it's a bad thing to leave it in the eyes of the public that we've got an emergency. But I agree with you, Commissioner Letts, that the state, everybody's aware of it. I don't know if it makes any difference. I don't want it to be interpreted by the public because we back off of it. It's not as important as it was. So that's my only thought about that. My big reason to support it earlier was the fact that it meant something to us financially.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And Tanya, so to be clear, if we declare we're not in an emergency anymore or do away with it, it's not going to hurt us as far as receiving those grants and other income from that.
From what we've been told by PM, that is true.
It wouldn't.
Heather just said.
Okay, it wouldn't affect the taxpayers one iota. Good.
The concern before the judge had expressed was about some kind of clawback on anything we used, as I recall. And I don't think that's going to be a problem. It doesn't sound like.
But it had to do with the 3.5%
Yeah.
tax rate increase.
Judge, the question I do have, and you may or may not have the answer on this, is that under the current, well, if we do cancel the emergency order, does it impact directives that you receive from the governor as to how, as emergency management coordinator for the county, you act? As what I'm thinking is, several weeks ago, you filed an attestation to basically eliminate or stop the no mask rule for Kerr County.
We applied
Bad
for
name.
the exemption.
The exemption. And then you re-implemented it. Could you still file an attestation and then re-implement it if without this order?
I would defer to the county attorney on that. Heather?
I want to say probably could, because it's authority given by the governor in his orders and proclamations, but any of the other authority given to the county judge in that chapter, once you do adopt or declare an emergency, wouldn't be available.
But so that the public understands, they're not available now.
Right.
When I declared a state of emergency, and the governor subsequently came out and issued his order, he limited all local governments, mayors and county judges, authority to the extent of his orders, which meant that we had to be in complete lockstep with the governor. And that's the way we've been, is in lockstep with the governor. If the governor orders me to do something, I'll do it. If the governor allows a county judge or in local government like a mayor to do something, then that would be authorized by virtue of that order as it is received. All we're talking about now is the governor's orders. What we do not affect the governor's orders. So if we set aside this emergency, state of emergency, then that does not affect anything that the governor's told us to do to date or in the future. That's the way I see it. But I would, again, defer to my county attorney to tell me that that's legally where we are with it.
The governor's order said you couldn't supersede what
That's
he had
right.
done.
That's what he said
Unlimited.
initially, then he opened it up where you could do some things. He allowed you to
He gave me
do some
specific
things.
things I could
Right,
do.
right.
And so when each time he issues a new order, if he says something in there that the county judge can do this or the county judge can do that, that's exactly what we've done, no more, no less.
Right.
And that's true whether this order is in effect or not, I think. But again,
I think so too.
Sounds that way.
so there's no real meaning, there's no real teeth, there's no real reason to have a state of emergency. We all know that we are in a very serious health situation, and we are managing that situation. I don't think this is an emergency response to the virus. We've come up with the protocols on how best to manage the virus, and that's what we're doing. So is there truly a state of emergency? I'll leave that to your judgment.
I think the other thing is,
Judge, even if there's not a local declaration, we're still under the state's declaration
Absolutely.
of that state of emergency.
And I want the public to be crystal clear about that. The way things are being managed right now is exactly the same way things will be managed if we terminate the state of emergency. Nothing changes.
and the other comment I'd make, if something changed, I would say drastically, but it's not my decision. If something changes, the judge can re-implement a state of emergency, and then I think it's subject to our approval within
A week?
A
What do
week,
we have?
72 hours, something like that.
Is it 72 hours or a week? I
72
forget.
It's a week.
I thought it was 7 days.
7 days.
So,
I think so.
so the judge can re-implement it at any time, and then it comes back to us again.
Well, my only concern is just the image. If nothing is, we haven't really seen a downturn in anything, and we're backing off of something that we said was an emergency before, for financial reasons and others, to make the public aware. So if we haven't seen a downturn in the cases or anything else, then I'm apprehensive to take it up.
I don't disagree with you, Commissioner. My problem is that I think that locally, state, and nationally, it's a very dangerous precedent to just keep a state of emergency in place in the situation we're in right now. If we're going to have a new flu comes out next year, is that a new state of emergency?
I hope
If
not.
a bad virus comes out or a bad cold comes out, is that? I mean, I think that the whole state of emergency has been abused. Like I say,
I agree with that.
not locally, the judge, but mainly, I think well, one, I agree with what the judge has been doing, but two, because the judge hadn't had any authority because the governor's told him what to do. So, that's the bottom line. That's why I think it's more of a statement that, yes, there's a serious health issue out here, but it doesn't mean that government should exercise a whole lot of additional powers. And that's just my personal view on that part.
A good example would be, we've talked about it here in open court before, is the governor empowered me to review outside gatherings of more than 10 people. Originally it was 100, then he cut it back down to 10. And I've required anybody that wants to have those gatherings, outside gatherings, not inside gatherings, that's controlled on capacity, not numbers, to submit a COVID safety plan. And I've approved all of them but one, if you'll remember, and that was on Flying Diesel's drag race. And I turned it down because I was scared about getting that many people together. And he came in and sat down with us, with Dub and I, and we said, well, we want more porta potties. We want you to put cones out there to show people how far they've got to stand apart to get to the porta potties. We want cones out there to tell people how far they got to be apart to get in the food truck line. And they accommodated everything we wanted and more, even having an ambulance on site. So in terms of the governor has already authorized me to do that, I can still do that. But the truth of the matter is, everything that we've been doing is management. It's not emergency. We know what we're dealing with.
Right.
We spiked up to over 100 active cases back in July a day, 100 active cases a day. And Peterson and our stakeholders has successfully managed that back down, and we got it back down to where we were in the month of August. I think we were averaging less than 10 active cases a day. That's why we applied for the exemption. Now we've got a little flare up right now, and I have every confidence that we're going to be able to manage that. Now I appreciate the optics, Commissioner, what you're talking about. That we're not like we were back in August, where we had 4 cases a day, 5 cases a day. Remember when we had all of that?
Yeah.
We're not there, but I think we're headed back there. But the real question in my mind, are we into the management of this virus, or are we still in the emergency stage of the virus?
Well, I think it's important, as long as we can manage it, we don't have to have the artificial thing of an emergency for financial reasons.
Well, we've changed what we're looking at repeatedly. Are we looking at hospitalizations, or are we looking at positive cases? That is the real
Well, I think
issue.
like
The issue
Commissioner
is
said last week, it's
hospitalization.
trend. Look
Do
at the
what?
trend. Look at the number of hospitalized.
Well, I
Hospitalizations.
think we follow 3 things. I think we follow fatalities, hospitalizations, and active cases. And there has been a raging debate locally and statewide and nationally on how we count the active cases. As of last week, Dub Thomas, our emergency management coordinator, went ahead and took affirmative action to include the to be determines, the TBDs, on DISH's numbers that they give us every week, and include those as active cases, to err on the side of being over-prepared rather than under-prepared.
Right.
And so in terms of management, I'm completely comfortable with the way Dub and our emergency managers and Peterson and Tatum are managing this crisis, because it's still a crisis. The question is it an emergency?
Right. How long do you stay in a state of emergency?
That's
You know, when I hear a car alarm right now, I don't even look out the window anymore. When my phone goes off and tells me there's an Amber Alert, I just turn it off without opening it up. So how long do you stay in a crisis? How long do you stay in a state of emergency?
Well, I'm trying to make, and I agree, but I'm trying to make the distinction between the words crisis and emergency.
Right.
We're still in a crisis. We've got a medical crisis that we're trying to manage, and we're doing it successfully. But are we truly in a state of emergency?
I don't think so. And by the way, if there's anybody out there that doesn't understand the procedure at this point, they probably won't catch it anyway, but that's their tough luck. Everybody understands what's going on. There's not a thing that this court can do that would emphasize that one iota more.
Any other discussion? There's a motion and a second to terminate the declaration of a local state of disaster emergency. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Now, I don't want the public to be misled that we don't think that we still have serious issues that we have to manage. And all the protocols still stay in effect. Nothing changed from what it was before this vote as to after this vote, other than just the terminology.
I think you said, one thing you said is really puts it in perspective. We still have a crisis, we do not have an emergency.
Correct.
Right. And we can manage a crisis. Right. Got it.
Okay, items 1.7 and 1.8 I'm going to call together. Actually, I'm going to ask if it can be passed. And just to give an update on what we're doing, we're trying to get our organizational documents finalized for the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. And we've got our local committee that has worked very diligently in trying to give input to TIDC. And then we've got our group of 5 county judges that have worked together trying to coordinate between the 5 counties. And everything has gone very, very well. We've got, we're this close to having everything exactly the way we want each commissioner's court to approve it. But on Friday, we had one small issue come up that we need to get cleared up. And I'm trying to get a conference call going with our local committee so we can get input back to TIDC. And what that has to do with is it's in our oversight board document, the membership and policies document that we looked at last week. The Code of Criminal Procedure list in its Article 26, I wrote it down, it was 26.045, the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, outlines the oversight board for a public defender's office. And it says that the members of that board shall be appointed. And the way we've structured it in our document is they're going to be appointed by each of the commissioner courts. We allocated 2 per county, except for Kerr County, which would be 3 for a total of 11. And it would be up to this court to appoint the 3 members. The statute, the Code of Criminal Procedure provision, says that they shall be appointed, and then it says the board members may include. And it goes from mandatory, because we got to fund the board, that makes sense, to permissive of who those members are going to be. And let me just read off the list of people that, and this is what we're struggling with them on. An attorney with criminal defense experience, a trial judge, a county commissioner, county judge, a community representative, or a former client, meaning criminal defendant, or their family member. And it says may be an attorney, may be a trial judge, may be a county commissioner, may. And so what we put in our draft back to TIDC was we included the same permissive language of may. And they've asked us to reconsider making that language shall. That we're going to have to appoint each one of these people. And they added one more to it. They added another one that's not even in the statute. And that is someone that's worked with a nonprofit that provides assistance to indigent persons. Which, quite frankly, our local committee, we have any problem with that. If we're going to select from these people, that's probably a good person to have that experience to help us with this stuff. But it's, from my point of view, it's pretty much what my wife calls me, just West Texas oppositional sometimes. I don't like being told what to do. And I don't know why we have to be shall when the statute says may. But that's something that we got to get worked out with them.
Right.
Because the goal is, we're going to come back to Commissioners Court, whether it's next Monday or the Monday after that, and we're going to cut all 5 counties to have the same package of the same 3 documents. We did the job description, so nobody else had to do that. But we've got to do this oversight board. It's like our bylaws. And then we've got to do the interlocal agreement. We've got the interlocal agreement all worked out, and we thought we had the oversight board all worked out. But now this came up Friday afternoon, so we're going to talk about it and get back with them and report back to you. Because the goal is that those documents will come from them. We're going to have them finalize them, we'll proof them, they'll put them in PDF form, and they'll be sent to all 5 counties at the same time.
Good.
And then we all take turns in approving the documents. With the goal being that by October 26th, we'll have everything approved, and hopefully even the appointments to this board.
Sound like the state wish they would have said shall, and now they can impose shall at a lower level and reflect it back up to the state.
In defense of the state, they've been putting together these regional public defender's office all over the state, and they've got a rogue PDO, and I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to identify anybody, but they're not performing the way that TIDC intended. And so, because they've got some glitches out there, they tend to want to take the glitches that's not us and try to fix it with us when we didn't even do it. And so,
Correcting it as you go.
well, but I appreciate their conscientiousness, and I think this is a discussion that we can sit down and work through. I'm very optimistic about that, and hope to be back here next week with the final packet for us to approve. But I would rather be safe than sorry. Let's get this worked out and bring it to you for approval before we actually adopt it.
And this, I think everyone may recollect or may not, but last Monday, we did approve this one document. We were talking about the oversight. And we approved it with the May.
Because that's what the local committee
Right.
recommended. So we've approved what we like.
Rather than rescind it at this point, we'll
Sure.
probably ratify it when it
After it
comes
comes
through and
back.
see if it's the exact one. But we are
Now,
aware.
there was one, what was the other one that had the?
Interlocal, we did not
The
approve.
interlocal.
Last
So
time
the
we-
interlocal had. did
It
you
had
learn
all
how
those
to
red
use the
lines on
Red
it.
line?
I'm red line ignorant, and that's, I'm sorry, but I really, well, I'm looking around, the room, they know I'm red line ignorant. But it was, it confused me too. But we've got a good, clean document, we've got the interlocal all ironed out, we just got this one little hiccup that we need to get past.
Good.
So are we gonna, what are we gonna do about
Just-
this?
Just pass them,
It's
just
just
pass
Pass
it.
pass right now.
Pass it?
Mhm.
Okay.
And over the next few weeks, the committee will probably make recommendations to the court for the membership. If you have people that are interested in serving as a member on this oversight board, this would be a time for them to contact you and be able to get in the discussion. Because we will have 3 members. Okay, moving on to the approval agenda. Pay bills.
Good morning. Invoices for today's consideration for the fiscal year of 1920. Kerr County, $88,593.07. The airport, $9,645.89. For the fiscal year of 2020-21, Kerr County, $118,952.54. The airport, $410.50. Adult probation, $404.77. Juvenile probation, $13,426.96. The county clerk fees, $316.64. And the 198th DA forfeiture, $540.63.
Move we pay bills as presented by the auditor.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Moser, seconded by Commissioner Baloo to pay the bills as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Budget amendments,
There are not any.
late bills,
There are not any.
and auditor reports.
There are not any.
Thank you. 2.5, monthly reports.
No.
Okay. 2.6, court orders.
We do have the court orders from our October 13th regular session. Court orders 38373 through 38393, and I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the court orders as presented. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Move on to the information agenda. 3.1, status reports from department heads. Anyone? 3.2, status reports from elected officials. 3.3, status reports from liaison commissioners. I do have one report to make, and it's with regard to our capital improvements planning committee. And that is that we did make an offer to purchase the property, a property in Ingram, and that has been accepted, and we expect it to go to escrow this week. And so we have that lined up to be able, so we'll have 2 properties now. We have the Earl Garrett campus, and we'll have the property out off Highway 39. And
He's still working on the other. Still working on the other
Yeah, yeah.
options, yeah.
Judge, this is under, yeah, but this is an executive session item. Does it need to go in executive session, or can we just go ahead and vote on?
And unless you just want to know all the details. I mean, there's some juicy details in it.
Is there some stuff besides what's in the attachments?
Not really, yeah. The attachment is most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juicy details.
How you
Not
pass
usually
that
in
up?
the
Well-
attachment.
Well, put it this way, as a 45-year trial lawyer, to have an experience that I've never had before was unique, and it was worth it. And I'd never done one of those that way. I think it was kind of California style, but we got into it, and I think we analyzed it and handled it well, and we're tickled to death to have the property. And I've already talked to the owner of the property personally, and who's looking forward to helping us with our efforts out there.
But we do need a motion from the court to approve it, correct?
Yeah.
Approve the actual offer and the,
Yes. But that's not on the agenda today, is it? No. Is that the
It's,
executive item?
it's discussion and.
Okay, then
action.
we'll do that in executive session.
But we can do it now. We have to go to executive session and with another item, but
Y'all can go into executive session if you want and believe and unanimously vote that any conversation in an open session would interfere with your ability to negotiate with a third party. But if you don't need to go into executive session, you can take that action out of the 4.1 or 2, I believe, and make it open session.
I think we can just handle that one right now, Judge.
Okay?
Yeah, I think it's pretty well done, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to approve the contract and
Well-
it's,
Well, you have copies of the contract.
right.
Right.
Yes, ma'am?
And would you please include the motion, the authorization for the treasurer to release the escrow money?
Yes. I think I've got it.
If you
Well,
have, here it is, the exact amount, who it's to.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's in the document here too.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract to purchase the property at 600 Highway 39, Ingram, Texas.
Right.
The amount of $300,000 and authorize the treasurer to make a check payable to
Kerr County Abstract?
Kerr County Abstract in the amount of $3,000.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Blue, to approve the contract on property in West Kerr County, address 600 Highway 39, Ingram, Texas, and also authorize the payment for the escrow of $3,000. Any further discussion?
Do we need to add a motion where the funds are coming from and this is to be reimbursable?
It wouldn't hurt, but that is the intent.
The intent is to fund the purchase and then reimburse the county from the tax notes that we've been talking about doing when we finish the purchases.
So that would expedite it, we're just doing it now.
Yeah. So that's included in my motion, that's the intent.
So the motion's been amended, and you second accept that?
Yes, sir.
To include that this would be funded from the county and to be included as a reimbursable in our tax notes. Okay, with that, any other discussion?
Yes, I think it'd be good for, and I'm not privy to it, y'all are on committee, but telling the people that how big the property is, maybe.
Okay.
Well,
we're really
we
excited.
gave an address.
We're really excited about the property. It's the property adjacent to the entrance into Ingram Tom Moore High School, right in front of the Presbyterian Church there on Highway 39, across from the baseball fields, the Little League fields.
Across from Stonehenge, actually. you
Right,
know.
yeah. Hill Country Arts Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
And we're also entering into discussions with the church, who has kind of a big block L shape all in front of the church and then come down the other part of the frontage, about possibly being able to pick up that frontage also. But this tract is 1.2 acres, and it's right next to Ingram Tom Moore. And the church's lot, that if you drive by there, there's a cedar rail fence around the church's part of it. You may remember that. And we're entering into negotiations with them to see if we can't end up with maybe 3 acres right there, which would be a great expansion for Ingram and West Kerr County.
Right. Prime location.
We're very, very pleased. Very pleased working with the owner, too.
Good.
Okay, with that, all those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Any other liaison commissioner reports?
Oh, that was, yeah, that was just, he brought it back from executive
That came out
session.
of the executive session, but there is still an real short executive session item.
Okay,
Okay. Then it is, what's the atomic time, Commissioner?
it is 10:10.
It is 10:10, and the court will adjourn into executive session. We'll take a brief break. We'll get back into executive session at 10:15. And so we are in recess. Okay, it is 10:21. We're out of executive session. I don't think there's any action to be taken at this time. And so there being no further business before the court, we are adjourned at 10:21.